What's going on, YouTube? This time on Land Yacht Labs, a legendary battle took place between me and all this goddamn water in my garage. How did it even get in there? But that's not the only battle a guy's gotta face today. You'll see what happens a little bit later, and it's not so good. It's a beautiful day outside. It's +5. That's probably why all the water came for a visit, but whatever. We cleaned it up. It's fine. Anyways, it's time to hone some cylinders, which I've never done before. So I'm not gonna, make this a tutorial and pretend that I have done it, but I'll do a couple, figure it out, and then I'll show you what my process is looking like. Well, a guy's been at this for a while now, and the results are less than promising. I don't really know what I expected because this thing was really, really rusty when we started, especially on cylinder number 6, because it was looking like this. And after about 5 minutes of honing, it was looking like that. And then it kept looking like that for quite a while. That one rust spot where it seemed to be pooling water or something when this thing was sitting for a million years, that spot is damn near impossible to get off at this point. I've been trying and trying, but the more honing you do, the bigger you make the cylinder, and maybe it'll have wicked piston slap on the time we're done. I have been checking the bore just simply with a piston ring and feeler gauges to see if it's actually opening it up at all, and so far it hasn't even gone 1 thou. 1 thou would be, a pretty decent amount, but still, that's all I can really do without a dial bore gauge or anything like that. So anyways, in the name of a budget build, we're going to do the right thing and keep going. Just see what happens, This thing blows up in a mild pile of parts and pistons out the bottom, then I guess we will not be doing that on the next one. But anyways, I'll show you what they're all looking like right now and keep going until they look better than this. Well, today was an interesting day to say the least. My garage flooded, and this engine block is basically toast. So yeah, after all that honing, I just cannot get this pitted rusted section clean or feeling nice whatsoever. And at this point, I'm pretty sure I've bored the block out a little bit, maybe like a thou, 1/1000th of an inch on this cylinder. So I don't know. Maybe this can work in another world in the future if I get it taken to a machine shop. But as far as right now goes, it's kind of looking like a guy's going to need a new block or a different block. The guy that I got the pistons from did happen to have the block for his motor, and it looked in okay shape. I just didn't really feel like loading it in my truck at that specific moment. But at this point, it's kind of looking like I don't really have a choice. So maybe I'll see if I can get that from him if he still has it, or if it's even in okay shape at all, because I hardly looked at it when I was there. So yeah, disappointing news for today, but I guess you can't save every motor that's out there. I tried my best, but it's just the way that it's gonna have to go, I guess. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, at least my poor attempt at trying to bring this block back to life. But we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Whoa, wait. Did you think we were done? Nah. So that was last week, the honing disaster. And I'll admit, I did not have the greatest techniques off the get-go. First of all, I was using one of these, which is a 3-stone hone. It was kind of just what I had sitting around, or what I stole from work that would work good for this. These stones are very aggressive, and I feel like, that would be better to get off that rust spot. But even then, it just wasn't enough. I tried as much as I could to save this motor, but it was just too rusty. So we bounced back. This is Saturday. On Thursday after work, I drove all the way to Balgony to grab another engine block and a bunch of other stuff. I'll show you that in a second. And funny enough, it's the same guy I got the pistons from, because he had this whole motor torn apart. And if you remember, you know, the bent rod and everything. So, super nice dude. Shout out to you if you ever watch this somehow. But anyway, let's get looking at this block and get it all on this stand so we can take a proper look at everything. So, first impressions are actually looking pretty good. It is very dirty. You know, all the coolant ports and everything, and there's sawdust in here. But that's okay. There's a decent amount of oil sludge in the lifter valley area, and a head bolt. Nice. And of course the gaskets got stuck for the NOx sensors. That's not a big deal, we can just get those off of there. No problemo. Lifters are probably going to be quite stuck. Lifter bores are looking pretty good. Now let's get into the important part here. So these are kind of dirty, just from, you know, sitting and chilling around, but that already looks so much better than mine. I'll wipe this one off too. No rust anywhere. Yeah, tough to record, but yeah, look at that. Now, there was a spot of something there, but it just wiped right off. Same thing with this stuff, it looks like. Yeah, that's looking way better. Let's get this thing flipped over and have a look at the other side. Well, there's oil coming out of it. Oh no, that's coolant. Never mind. Coolant out of the coolant ports. It just looks like oil because of how rusty it is. So that's cool. Oil barbell is still in its hole. Bearing's missing on this one, but the surface looks nice. There's a bit of sludge actually in the oil holes there. Dipstick looks like it got a little bit broken, but that's fine. Main bearings are looking pretty decent actually. There's a slight bit of wear on the thrust surface of everything, and like usual, cam bearings look like they're smoked. No surprise there. They're always smoked. But other than that, this thing looks to be in really not bad shape. It's very dirty though, so we got a lot of cleaning ahead of us for sure. So I'm just kind of going to get this thing all torn down, get the lifters out of it, get crank sensor out and cam sensor and everything that kind of doesn't really need to be there so we can start cleaning stuff. So another interesting thing to note is with these cam sensors here, they go all the way down into where the cam lives. But there's this open channel right here with a little O-ring in it. See if I can clean some of the dirt away real quick. There, like that. So you can see the O-ring on here. Now what happens is this O-ring starts to fail over time, and then your engine will leak oil out of here, out and down, making it look like a rear main seal leak. But in fact, it's just the cam sensor. So it's another thing to watch out for if you have one of these motors in your truck and it is leaking oil out of the back. So these lifters are stuck like they usually are, and the reason why lifters get stuck in these so often is because right near the top here is a big layer of sludge that always builds up, and then as you're pulling it out it just keeps getting stuck on that. So what I found works great is, once again, just some spray nines, and you spray it down these bores. You kind of lift them up and down until they get enough to finally actually come out, and it seems to be working really good. These lifters are not nearly as stuck as the ones that were on the original motor that we had, so that's also a plus. So I'll kind of show you more about what I was talking about for getting these lifters unstuck. So yeah, just a bit of spray nine in there, let it kind of sink down a bunch. I haven't touched this one yet, and it's already moving kind of decent, so now we'll just kind of work it back and forth. I can get in from behind since there's no cam in this thing, and push it up. And we kind of need it to be twisted a little bit so we can actually grab the flat spots with pliers. It's just kind of getting stuck right here. You just kind of, bam. Look how rusty this one was. Interesting. Now we could just get to this last one here. Bam, just like that. So I've been kind of at this for quite a while, just basically like removing everything and cleaning some stuff up. I started hitting everything with some spray nine, and I realized that it's gonna be a little difficult with that because unlike when we did the head, I don't really have a source of running water out here. Like there's a garden hose, but you know, it's the middle of Canada winter time and garden hoses don't work in the winter, so not really sure what I'm going to do about that. I've been tossing around the idea of taking it to a machine shop and getting it hot tanked, just because I'm lazy and cleaning everything would take a long time, and that would be really easy to just take it there and get them to do it. But anyways, yeah, I only found one weird thing with this as far as everything that I've looked at so far, and I'll show you that right now. So these two holes in the block right here and right here are for the knock sensors. They help in controlling the amount of fuel and spark timing that goes into this thing as it's running. It's part of a EFI vehicle's systems, but either way, this hole is nice and straight and in the middle, but that hole is not. And if we look closer, you can actually see a separation point right about here. So I'm guessing a long time ago, somebody went to go do knock sensors in this thing because it's a really common thing to have happen in these trucks. And they decided to break one off. And instead of, extracting out the rest of the knock sensor, which would be on this half here, they just drilled a hole and retapped it. So if I were to take this half out, this hole would be, oval shaped, right? Because you can see the little ridge right here where the old hole used to be. So that's a bit of an inconvenience, but honestly the knock sensor might still be just fine like this, and maybe the motor just ran for quite a while after that and it was totally okay with it. But whatever, there's not really much I could do about that, and I'm not going to junk the block over a knock sensor hole. So I'm just going to call it fine. And this is what the bores are kind of looking like right now. I'd say pretty darn clean. It is a little bit cloudy looking because I haven't cleaned it perfectly yet. You can see on this side over here where my fingerprints are, so that's just the spray 9 that I used to clean some stuff off. But I'm going to show you a little trick to see if this engine is worth rebuilding or not. All we're going to need is a piston ring and a set of feeler gauges. So we'll start by putting the ring in here, and we'll grab one of our pistons. Make sure it's nice and square, similar to checking ring gap actually. And what we're going to want to do here is shine a light from the bottom side and see if any light is escaping through the sides of the piston ring. It's going to be a little bit hard to see on camera. But you can't really see anything there. So by doing that, we basically just check to see if there's any egg shapedness, or checking the cylinder to make sure it's totally round. Another thing we can do is check cylinder taper, which would be the cylinder being wider at the top than it is at the bottom as a product of piston slap or just, super high mileage. So now we'll actually use the feeler gauges to check the ring gap in multiple places. So we're going to start with the piston ring decently close to the top, and we'll square it with our piston once again. And then we'll just simply check the gap. So this is right around 36 thousandths of an inch. Now we'll push this down a little bit more. Check it again, kind of in the middle. Same thing, a pretty snug 36 thousandths. And we'll repeat one more time till it's all the way at the bottom. And by the bottom, I mean all the way as low as the piston rings travel. There is a spot on the cylinders where the rings do not travel and where the piston just doesn't reach, which would be the cloudy looking area at the bottom there. So that would be the factory cylinder hone job that was on this thing. But anyways, this is mostly as far as the rings will go. So we will check our gap one more time. And same thing at the bottom, a nice 36 thousandths. The spec for most LS motors is around 0.0007 of an inch, which would be 0.7 thousandths of an inch. This block has not even 1 thousandths, so I'm going to call that good enough. So, with that, I can confidently say that we are gonna be okay. All the cylinders are perfectly circular with zero light coming through. Obviously, this isn't a ridiculously accurate test. Just using that ring and measuring the taper and roundness of everything with a flashlight. But it's what we kind of got, and it gives a guy a good idea. Like if one's like totally screwed, you can obviously tell. But if it's like, 0.0001 inches out, then it's not even gonna fucking matter anyway. So whatever. I think this is gonna be just fine. And that's kind of all the cleaning that a guy is feeling like doing for today as well. So let me just do a little bit of recap over here quick. So we honed that thing out. It didn't end up so good. So then we got this one and a whole bunch of other parts. So that is looking a lot more promising. This block should be totally savable. But yeah, we have a lot of cleaning up to do, and it's going to take a while. And speaking of cleaning up, I ordered a different hone. So instead of that 3-jaw style hone, I'm going to be using one of the dingle ball kinds. You've probably seen them before, but there's benefits and drawbacks to both of them. For example, if you have perfectly straight cylinders and you know you do, like say you have a race motor and you blew a set of rings or it's starting to smoke a little bit, you rip that thing down and you just grab a dingle ball hone and whee, away you go, right? But if you don't have perfectly straight cylinder bores and you're honing something for the first time, that's where the 3-jaw hone comes into play, because the stones are straight and it will not just fill in any inconsistencies that you might have in the cylinder surface, like the dingle ball hone would. But in this case, I just want to get a nice crosshatch on there. These LSs are super forgiving as far as stuff like that goes. And everybody just hacks them together anyways. So, and since I know all these cylinders are looking pretty good now, that's why I'm just going to use a dingle ball hone on them, just to get that nice crosshatch so our rings seat nicely. And as far as the future and everything else goes, you may not see me next week because I have to wait for a lot of parts to show up. And I might end up taking this thing to the machine shop for some hot tank action. But the next time you see me will probably be when we got all of our parts on a table, everything's all cleaned up, and it's ready to get thrown together, which I absolutely cannot wait for. This part of the build has been taking so long, and I'm just happy to get this motor together. I cannot wait. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you'll join me in the next one. Like and subscribe.